What's up, everyone? Tilly's here.
Hello.
All right, people already chiming in. I like that. SoCal, LA, Illinois. A lot of people on the West Coast.
California.
Paris. Nice.
Well, that's fun.
We're tired.
Yeah.
Like, really tired.
That's an understatement.
The last two shows, or last 2 days, sorry.
Hi, everyone.
We went to bed at 4 a.m. both
This morning we went to bed at 4 a.m.
Friday night and Saturday night because the gigs. Texas, Germany.
Do you have it on slow chat?
No, but if it gets out of hand, we'll put it on slow chat. Quick plug. Everything in my store is on sale during the live stream. 25% off if you use the code SNL25. That's the Kemper Profiles. Sorry, Tilly.
Sorry.
God. Discount code SNL25 will get you 25% off everything in the store. If you want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Buy some merch.
Cool t-shirt.
Buy a coffee mug. Buy Helix
mug.
presets.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And that'll be going out throughout the stream. And if you're rewatching the stream tomorrow, SNL25. So, anyway.
I won't touch it again.
And as usual on these live streams, if you want to ask a question and you want me to see it, you can either jump in the top chat and ask a question there, or you can tag me at Rhett Shull in the chat, and that'll highlight the question so I can see it. Yeah. First 2 shows of 2020.
They were good. They were both honky-tonk places, which was interesting. It was fun.
Who here doesn't know what a honky tonk is?
Oh, yeah, that's probably.
Raise your hands.
Raise your hands.
Yeah, we had 2 shows this week with Noah Guthrie Good Trouble, and it was the first 2 shows of the year. We played in Charlotte and we played in Greenville, South Carolina, and it was a good time, man. We had a bunch of people out.
It was fun. Nick doesn't know what a honky tonk is.
Okay.
Hand raised. You want to explain what a honky tonk is?
All right, so I'm gonna make a vlog probably tomorrow, a Backstage Journal vlog about it. So,
oh man,
basically, a honky tonk is an old school.
It's a Southern thing.
Southern American bar, and they have a few characteristics that are pretty much the same throughout. Although they're big on the West Coast too. I mean, they have them out in California, right? Like Bakersfield and Central Valley and everything.
It's different in the South.
Basically, it's a country western bar where this giant stage, and
a dance floor out
and
in front
a big
of it.
dance floor out in front, and it's line dancing, all kinds of stuff. But
line dancing to songs that are not country, also.
They're interesting places with an interesting clientele.
Yeah.
Both of these shows went off without a hitch, but anytime you're playing a honky tonk, there's always a chance that there's going to be some kind of fight that breaks out. If you've ever seen Blues Brothers, the scene where they play, they roll up to the gig at Bob's Country Bunker, it was like that, just without the chicken wire in front of the stage.
And there is a difference between a bar and a saloon. You want to...
Is there?
Yes.
I don't know what the difference is.
Saloons have wood paneling, and usually there's some type of stuffed animal head on the wall. Bars do not usually have that.
Oh yeah, there's dead animals all over the walls.
Yeah.
Neon signs. It's
Neon
gonna be a fun
signs.
video. I'm really excited to make the video. All right, let's see. What's the Gretsch doing? I've got it hooked up to the Kemper stage here on the floor. I was just playing around with some of the stage sounds in here. What's the main program I use to record stuff? I use Logic 10 and Pro Tools, but I don't know. I'm not super happy with either one of them, actually, to be honest with you. Subi, what's up? Saloons have cool louvered doors. They do. Yeah, so it was a good time. We had 2 really strong shows. It's a good way to start the decade.
Yeah.
Of gigging.
It was fun. We met some people that came out to the shows. Steven who's from Anderson, Anderson, and then Kai came out. That was really cool. Some of Rhett's family and best friend came out.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
My childhood best friend surprised me at the first show, which was awesome.
Yeah.
New to your music, what's the meaning behind no plan B? That's a good question. I get that question quite a bit. So basically, there's this metal sign behind you guys. You can't see it. My parents got me at this like arts fair 10 years ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's the idea that whatever it is you decide to pursue in your career, the idea behind it is pursuing it like you don't have a backup plan. So pursuing it like getting up every day and just working at it as if there is no backup plan. There's nothing to fall back on. I've heard some other people talk about this idea before too. It's sort of, and it doesn't just pertain to music. It pertains to anything that you want to do.
Yeah.
But just getting up every day and working at something as if you don't have a plan B or a backup plan. That's what it means for me.
Oh, sorry, Steven. Hendersonville. Not Anderson. Sorry. My bad.
What's my opinion on Supro, Blackmagic, and Galaxy? Would you use either on a gig? I think they're okay. I've played some of the Supro stuff, and I don't know if I've played the Blackmagic. I played the Comet, and I was not blown away with that amp. I don't think it was voiced really well. It's way too dark. Anytime you had there's a tone control on the amp, and I would have to turn the tone control all the way up, and it was still too dark. So the Supro stuff I think is hit or miss. I've played some Supro amps that I really dig, and some friends of mine have some Supro amps that are cool, but they're not the most consistent things out there from my experience.
What kind of pickups are in your Saris J?
A Malfitano P90s.
Are they noiseless?
No, they're very noisy.
Do you use noiseless P90s?
No.
That was all one person.
I don't. I have used the the Fralin noiseless P90s. Those are pretty good. Latin America tour, nothing on the books.
Ooh, that would be fun.
It would be fun.
That'd be really fun.
Deluxe reverb style amp for $400 or $500. Yeah, get a used deluxe reverb. just get a used blackface reissue.
Do you play video games?
Yeah, I do. I bought a Switch not too long ago. I'm playing Switch.
Everybody's getting Switch now.
Yeah, it's the best console out there.
Oh.
It's the best one. Nicholas, you asked us on Instagram earlier this week. Would love to see some more content on dialing in guitar tone for live/rehearsal. I'm actually working on a video course right now that is completely dedicated to just that.
Yeah.
Well, we are working on a video course.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually doing most of the editing on it and shooting, which is cool. Yep. But basically, it's going to be the tone course, and it's literally geared towards my sort of process for dialing in sounds and tones and understanding how amps work and how guitars work and pedals and how they all interact together and
what can be best suited for you.
Yeah.
That was a good question.
Which the Solus?
Josh BW. You going Solus F1? Whoa.
Oh, hold on.
Are you going Solus F1 or M1 after the shows with the F1, and why?
I can never keep them straight.
He likes the blue one.
Is the F1 the one that I have the telly? Basically, there's the Esquire version and the P90 version, and I can never. I hope Dennis isn't watching because I can't remember which one is which.
I think yours
it's
is the F1.
Yeah, I'll probably go with the F1, the Esquire version.
The blue one.
Yeah, it's sick. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have Dennis build me one because I can't keep that.
He won't give you that one.
But I don't know what.
Funny.
Basically, the cool thing about the Solus is you just essentially pick your model, pick your color. There's not like a ton of things to pick as far as options and pickup combinations and switching and all that kind of stuff. It's like F1 or M1, and what color do you want?
Yeah.
So I actually don't know what color to get. I think.
We have to think about that one.
Yeah, I want something cool.
Someone
So we got a
said
top
they broke
chat
up.
here. Hold on. Jim in the top chat. First time catching your Sunday show live. Just got all caught up on the podcast. You're killing it. Agnesi interview was great. Thanks, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that Mark Agnesi interview I think was received pretty well.
Yeah, I think it was.
I was a little nervous about putting it out because I didn't want to restart the whole Play Authentic thing around Mark and everything, but I did want to talk to him about it. So if you haven't heard that episode, the podcast is linked down below.
It's a good one.
I've got a really cool guest this week, actually. Kenny Greenberg, who is just... He's a Nashville guitar player who's one of those guys. He's like Tim Pierce in that he's done everything. He's currently, he plays for Kenny Chesney. He's about to go on tour with Bonnie Raitt this year. He's
Really
a
nice
producer, a composer, a songwriter, a session guitarist. He's a badass. So I got him on the podcast a couple weeks ago when we were in Nashville, and that'll be this week's episode on Wednesday. So if you're not subscribed to the podcast, it should be linked down below. But yeah, the Mark Agnesi thing was cool. We've known Mark for almost a year. No, almost a year now.
Oh, it's been a year? Feels
Yeah.
like longer than that.
And I never met him when he was at Norm's, but I watched him for years on Norm's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And
Learned a lot
from that
Very informative.
video series, as I'm sure a lot of you guys did. But it was cool. He's it's interesting getting to see from the outside where Gibson is headed with the new company, the new leadership and everything. If they can pull off what they want to do, I think it'll be really, really cool and good for the guitar world just in general.
I agree.
If they can pull it off.
Someone named, I think Edward, said that he missed the Charlotte show because his car broke down.
Oh, no.
Yeah. That sucks.
Edward, your car broke down on the way to Charlotte.
He's playing
man.
Atlanta at Eddie's Attic in June or July. It should be up on Noah's website
And we'll be
soon.
in Raleigh.
And Columbia.
And Columbia, South Carolina.
Up. If you all go to Noah's...
I don't think they're on Noah's website yet.
Yeah, they are. I just looked at it.
Okay.
Go to Noah's website. There, all the dates are listed on there.
We need to put those dates on my website, too, this week.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting. Let's see here. When you're playing with Noah, what's your favorite song to play live? A new song we have called Only Light I Need.
I like that one.
It's a great one. If you watch the studio vlog that we did last week, we recorded the everything, the guitars and everything for that song. Live, it's a lot of fun because I'm singing on it, which I'm actually really enjoying, and I get to play a slide solo, and it's just a big kind of anthem. It's like a rock anthem kind of song. It's fun. It starts off just acoustic, and then it builds into this giant like slide solo kind of thing, and it's awesome. Get the crowd singing along. It's fun. So,
how involved are you with coming up with guitar parts for Noah and Jesse?
So, I didn't play on Jesse's record. That was all the guitar parts on Jesse's record were done by Pat Carney. He pretty much played everything on the record. With Noah's stuff, though, I am completely involved with like all those guitar parts that I'm playing. I come up with. Those are all my parts. And do you come up with the parts before, or do they already have an idea? Generally, I'll come into the studio and just come up with an idea and put it down. I don't do a whole lot of work beforehand. I actually don't like to hear, if I'm going to go in and record on a session, I don't like to listen to demos before I go in. I prefer to walk in and just hear something for the first time and then track on top of it. Because I feel like if you listen a lot beforehand, you kind of get a certain feel and a certain sound in your head before you've even tracked it or gotten in the room. and I think you're less receptive to changes being made. Like if somebody makes a suggestion, like, hey, we should try this differently. If you've been listening to the demo, you're susceptible to something called demoitis, which is a real thing. I saw it a lot when when I was working at Rick's studio, where bands would come in and they wouldn't want to play it any differently than the demo that they had recorded. And I feel like that's pretty limiting. So I usually don't listen to stuff before I go in the studio. I just walk in and track it.
Somebody asked if I play guitar. I do not play guitar.
She wants to learn, though.
I do.
Let's see. David, what's up, man? Do you get any kind of writing credit for the parts you come up with? No. And that's a question I've gotten a lot recently. So generally, the way it works is you don't get writing credit for coming up with parts, like guitar parts or drum parts or bass parts. That's what you're hired to do. So, I'm basically like a contractor. I'm contracted to come into a studio or onto a gig and lend my services as a guitar player to the artist or producer in the studio. And so part of my services are creating guitar parts and sounds and tones and everything to be recorded on top of the song. Yeah. You don't get writing credit for that. Now, if I sat down with Noah or another artist and like we wrote a song, or if I rewrote a section of the song or rewrote some lyrics or something like that, then that would be different, and you would negotiate that with the artist or producer. But generally, it's called a work for hire situation. You would just come in the studio, you're getting paid a rate, and you basically are lending your services for that rate, just like a plumber, or an electrician. Same kind of deal.
Why shouldn't I take lessons from somebody I live with, David? I've got like the best guitar teacher I could learn from. Come on now.
Let me see here. Let's get caught up.
With the Port City Pearl, handle well multiple gain stages.
Yeah, with the Port City Pearl, handle multiple gain stages well in front of it, Stefan. Yeah, it would. I actually just sent my Pearl back into the builder, to Daniel Klein, to get updated. Mine's 10 years old. He built it 10 years ago. And my friend Ben Forehand has a Pearl that's been heavily modified by Daniel, and Ben's Pearl sounds really, really good. So I basically sent it in to Daniel and told him to do everything that he did to Ben's do to mine. But yeah, it would handle gain stage as well. That's what that thing is designed to do. So.
Bonjour.
Did Tilly encourage you to sing more? I don't know, did you?
What do you mean? That's a question for you, not me. Of course I did. What do you mean?
You did. God, I need a haircut bad.
Stop touching it.
Is that an aux box in the back? It is. I'm borrowing it from Rick. I actually took it out on the shows this weekend. I used it live to see how it would do live. It's a great studio solution.
What is that exactly?
So it's an attenuator.
Oh.
And it emulates cab soft, like it emulates a cabinet in a room. So the idea is you plug your amp
in a box.
You plug your amp into you plug your head into the aux, and then it emulates different types of cabinets and different types of microphones in a room without having to actually mic up a cabinet. So the idea behind it is if you live in a...
It's like a Kemper?
No. It doesn't do... A Kemper does amplification and effects and everything. This just does the cabinets and cabinet simulation.
It's like speakers.
Yeah. So, and different microphones. So let's say you want to start recording, but you live in an apartment or you don't have a studio space where you can put a cabinet in a room and crank a tube amp, or you don't have a lot of microphones. That thing has U67s and Royer 121s and M160s, a bunch of different really high-end expensive microphones that are great for guitar cabinets. It essentially lets you track guitars
without having to have a cab?
Without having to have a cab. Or, like I was using it this weekend, running the cabinet on stage attenuated while sending a cabinet simulation to front of house. So what you were hearing in the crowd was the aux, the amp going into the aux.
Divided by cap?
No,
Oh,
that was just for stage volume.
interesting.
There's no mics in front of it.
I was wondering why it wasn't mic'd.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it worked well. It's just for live use. I feel like it's overkill, first of all, and I don't like that it's always attenuating. You can't turn off the attenuator, and it's not a particularly great sounding attenuator.
Can you do that with other ones? You can turn it off with other ones?
I think so. But the thing is, the aux is kind of its own thing. There's not a lot of stuff out there that competes with the aux. So, yeah.
Subi said, I wonder about the dynamic between the aux and the K-Master.
I don't know. It's an interesting thought. All in all, I think the aux is great for recording guitars at home. And I think that's really what it was designed to do. I don't know if it was really designed to be a good live solution. I probably wouldn't, and it's expensive too. That's something it's as much as an amp would be live. It's probably as much. In fact, the Bad Cat head that it's sitting on top of, the aux is as much as the head. So it's kind of, it's a great studio tool. I don't know how much I would use it live. And if you're looking at something to get live, I don't know that the aux would be the first thing I'd go for.
Are you still using the Broadcast AP?
I do. It's awesome.
If so, where does it sit in the chain?
It's the last gain stage right before my reverbs and delays, my modulation, reverb, and delay. So on my main pedal board, I have the Strymon bridge, and the AP is the last pedal right before the Strymon bridge. Edward Kennedy, just to clarify, if I write a song with a complete melody and words and someone else puts a lead, they don't get writer's credit. That is correct. Somebody else plays a solo on a song that you wrote, they don't get writer's credit. Do you need to get a contract? I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I don't... It depends on the situation and who you're working with. I think to be safe, it's probably a good idea to have something in writing that you can always point back to. With Noah, we're all friends and when we're close. And so it's kind of just an understanding between everyone. So I've never signed any contracts or anything with them. But yeah, if somebody's trying to work with you, I had this conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago actually, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm trying to write, or I'm trying to hire someone to come in and record on one of my songs, but they want writer's credit." It was a drummer. He wanted to come in and track drums, but he would only do it if he got writing credit on the song. And I was like, "That's not how it works." You negotiate a rate ahead of time, and you say, "Hey, man, can you come in and track on this song? I'll pay you." Whatever, $200, whatever the rate you agree on is. But you wouldn't get writing credit for that. It's just not how it works,
I'm a lawyer. Always get a contract and pay me to do it.
Would you recommend a Strymon Iridium for home recording? I mean, the Iridium sounds great.
You love the Iridium.
I love the Iridium. I think for recording, though, if you already have a guitar amp, rather than spending the money on the Iridium, I would spend the $400. If I was going to get into recording, I'd spend the $400 on a couple of microphones and maybe an audio interface if I already had an amp. If I didn't have an amp and I was looking to get into recording, I would probably buy an amp before I bought an Iridium as my primary source of recording. But the Iridium sounds awesome. I've ever thought about making my own Strymon timeline and Big Sky presets available for download. No. Would you guys be interested in that? I could.
That's a good idea.
Let's see here.
Oh yeah, that. Everybody's asking about the Gretsch.
Oh, the Falcon. Yeah, I've got it plugged up. I was messing around with the Kemper stage earlier. So I've got the Kemper stage on the floor right now, and I was playing around with the reverbs. So, let's see. Sounds great with headphones. I actually used it on one of these live streams a couple weeks ago.
You did?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Someone asked what your ideal fuzz pedal is.
Oof. That's tough. Honestly, probably the
Come up here.
Hold on.
Find a new reverb sound. Probably the Tone Bender Mark 1 that I bought from Macari's.
Somebody said, Digital Voyager said, I've seen the Resonator guitar you've played in the studio is a Mule. Have you also tried one of those Mule electric guitars with a metal body? If yes, what do you think of them?
I haven't actually. Matt from Mule, he and I have been kind of chatting back and forth. We met at NAMM a couple weeks ago, and he sent me that Resonator to check out. And I actually want to interview him.
Matt?
Yeah, and get him on the podcast and the channel. But I haven't played one of the electrics. I know Ariel Posen, that's what he plays. And I think Joey Landreth has one too.
A Mule?
Yeah.
What's your preference on guitar nuts? Guitar necks, 21, 22, or 24 frets?
21 or 22. I've never been in a situation where I needed 24 frets. It's not me.
Oh man, Jason, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, it sucks, man. I didn't get to make it by Midwood, unfortunately. I was talking to Matt Anthony over there about trying to get by, but we just didn't have time. On show days, it's just really hard to try and do anything else other than like the gig, because your time is taken up with load in and sound check, and then you're kind of stuck around the venue for most of the day. It's
a weird thing. What do you think of the Marshall Origin series?
not great. Not a fan. I think there's better stuff out there in that kind of in that market. In fact, one of the house bands at the gig in Charlotte, dude was playing one of those Boss Katana amps, and that was the first time I'd heard that live. Things sounded damn good. I think it was like the 212 Katana. I didn't get up close to see like what he was using or everything, but it sounded good in the room.
Should a songwriter get their songs copyrighted before posting videos or playing live? What's the easiest steps to doing so?
I don't know if I would worry about it playing live, but you should always get your stuff copywritten. It's pretty easy to do, and it just protects you from, if you ever had to make legal recourse for something, having that piece of paper that says, that's your IP and you own it is huge. So I wouldn't, like, if you write a song, I wouldn't worry about not playing it live until it's copywritten. But I probably wouldn't post it on like Spotify or Apple Music or anything until it is copywritten. So
that's good advice. Was I a music fan prior to our relationship? Yes. I feel like most people are music fans before, like, in general.
Well, what did you listen to before we started dating?
Country. I listen to a lot of country music. I listen to a lot of soul music. I like what my mother called oldies. Rhett told me it's not oldies. So like Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin, things like that, and country music, a lot of that. I listen to music differently now, though, that we are together.
Wait, what do you mean you listen to it differently?
I listen before I would only listen to like the lyrics of a song, and I didn't really have context for what was going on behind that. And now I listen to, I hear the bass in a song and I listen to the bass in a song, or I hear the drums in a song and I listen to the drums in a song, and I hear the guitar and I listen to the guitar parts in the song. Where before I didn't do that.
Wait, so you would just hear a song.
I knew stuff was going on behind it. Like, I obviously knew there was guitar. Like, on country songs, you hear the guitar. And I knew that was happening, but I wasn't listening to the parts that they were doing. I was listening to the lyrics of the person singing.
So is it just like a wall of sound?
Yeah.
To you?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
That's why when we first started dating and you were like, yeah, you didn't listen to the lyrics. And I was like, wait, how do you not listen to the lyrics? But your brain doesn't think about it the same way.
Yeah.
When it's not when you don't play an instrument, your brain thinks about it differently.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ever since I can remember, I've always listened to the music.
Yeah, I always listen to the lyrics. You asked me that the other day, and I was like, I don't listen to the music. I didn't listen to music first.
Okay, but if you had like a favorite song, so what was like one of your favorite songs growing up?
I had a couple Martina McBride favorite songs that were my favorite.
Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
No, that's Shania Twain.
Oh, sorry.
That's a good. I like that song.
I don't know a lot about
That's a
country
good song.
music.
I like that song.
But okay, so why was it your favorite song though, or why were those Martina McBride songs your favorite?
Because I like the lyrics.
But there's nothing about the music that stuck out to you, like you didn't like the groove. Or
I did, but that for me, I listened to the lyrics before I listened to the. It was like the lyrics were the thing that I heard first. So if I didn't like the lyrics of a song, and what was being said in the song, if it didn't resonate with me, I didn't really listen to it more than once. Whereas with songs that I did like the lyrics with, I listened to it more than once. And like I Feel Like a Woman song, there's a prominent guitar part in that song, and I like that guitar part. Yeah, everybody knows. Bum, ba, na, 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 na. Everybody knows that. And that's one of the reasons that I like it.
I've never played it. That's it?
I think it's higher.
I mean, I don't know. What key is that song in? Somebody tell me what key it is.
Something like that.
And if I don't even know
I
if
feel like we're
played the
getting
riff.
on this for too long.
Is that the riff? I don't even know.
I think it's off. You're off. That sounds weird. Your voice doesn't go high enough. We missed a lot. We've been talking.
And then does it go the 4?
It's like way up there.
And does it modulate? I've never played that song before, actually.
I don't know why you care so much all the time.
Because I want to hear about.
What is my favorite guitar? My favorite
Ooh,
guitar
that's
is
a good
probably his Pink Sparkle.
Yeah.
Partially because I was influential on him getting it.
No, she told me to buy that guitar. I feel like I leave that part of the story out a lot.
I told but you are an individual and you're capable of making decisions on your own. I told you that you need to get it, but you didn't have to.
What happened was it was expensive. It was more money than I'd ever spent on anything.
Yeah.
I was a gigging musician. That guitar was $4,000, and I did not have $4,000 to spend on anything. Sorry about the plumbing. But
I told him that it was worth it, and that the way it made him feel when he played it was worth whatever he needed to do to get it.
Yeah, well, I had talked myself out of it. Over the course of like 3 or 4 weeks, I eventually talked myself out of buying that guitar because it was expensive.
But then you kept going. What happened is he kept going back, and he kept talking about it. And it was like once a day he would talk about this guitar. And I was like, you need to buy that guitar.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know. And then eventually bought it.
So there you go, everyone. The Sarah's J is because of her.
Have you and or Tilly ever heard of Alan Stone?
Yeah.
Yes.
We've seen him a couple times, actually. Live.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah,
in
he's
Atlanta.
Great.
How long have you both been together? We've been together, Rick, for 8 years in March, and we'll have been married for 3 years in May.
The guy's... He called me Rick for a second. I was like, what?
No, Rick is Rick
Okay.
Lambert. Looking into getting into the new Fender, should I get an HSS Strat or Telly?
I am not a Strat guy. I have a great Strat actually. Of the two though, I'm more of a
You're
Tele
a Mayer
guy.
Strat.
Yeah, I have a Mayer Strat, one of the black one 500 series. Not 500 series. That's recording stuff. Yeah, one of the black one Strats, and it's great. I'm just not a
huge Strat.
I feel like I should get it because I never play it, and I actually have it set up to be played in a. Stand by, everyone. Answer some questions.
Let's see. There was something in here. I was not in music. Was Tilly in music when she was younger? No, Andrew, I was not in music when I was younger. I wanted to do choir, but I was too shy to do it, so that never happened. Not in choir. Nope. Any plans to come back to the UK soon?
I hope so. We played Nashville meets London in July, and that was a blast. I'd like to come back to the UK. I'd actually like to do something with Mary Spender. She and I have kind of kicked.
So fun.
She and I have kicked around the idea of, like, maybe doing some kind of duo thing. So maybe we could make that work. Go over to the UK for a couple weeks and.
That would be fun, and we could see Paul too. Love your channel all the way from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Nice.
That's super cool. Hi, Adelaide, South Australia. Man, that's super cool.
So the cool thing about the Strat, I had Dave on Arado at Dojo Guitar Repair set it up to play in. It's tuned to D standard, so you can go do that like. Some overdrive here. I just feel like Strats sound better tuned down. God, I'm tired.
I also cleaned it. It's really sparkly and shiny now. 'Cause I put all the fingerprints on. Did Rhett being a musician and traveling ever bother you in the beginning? It bothered me that he was gone, but it didn't bother me that he did that. That was a conversation we had like at
Early
the
on.
very, very beginning. Like, this is what I'm doing. If you are not cool with that, like, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah. When we were like, before we even really started dating,
Yeah.
I told her, like, look, this is, what I want to do. It's not going to change, it's.
Because that was a deal breaker for you.
And I had some friends at the time who had girlfriends, because we were like, 22 at the time. So I had friends that were like getting girlfriends, and they were, kind of telling them like, okay, yeah, you can do the music thing for a little while, but eventually you're going to need to like grow up and get a job or like, And I saw that and was like, hell no. So we had that discussion early on. I was like, look, if you're not cool with this,
take it or leave it.
Yeah, take it or leave it. And she was cool with it,
Let's see. I had the same. How long? Oh, something happened. I lost it. I don't know where it went. Sorry, y'all. Rhett Shull, do you recommend the electronic switching method from the Tilly Burst Novo to the Strat style guitar to having a separate switch for the middle pickup? ?
No, I mean, if you're on a Strat, I would just stick with the 5-way switch. I think this is tried and true.
Do you listen to Kings of Leon?
I do, actually. We play Pyro in Noah's set, like a country version of Pyro. It's awesome.
That's not a custom shop, is it?
No.
No, it's just a John Mayer. It's the John Mayer Strat. It's not a custom
So
shop.
this is it's a Mayer signature, like the normal ones they did, which were the 3-tone Sunburst with the tortoise pickguard. But this was a special run of 500 that they did that was supposed to be like his black one, just unaged. So the black with the mint guard, the gold hardware, and it came with a special case from Incase, the company that makes all like the computer bags and everything. I bought this thing like 8 years ago from a guy in Texas, and he sold it, I think, to like make a rent payment. So I got it for a pretty good deal. And now, because Mayer's no longer with Fender, these Strats I think go for, I don't know what they go for. Somebody can look it up on Reverb and tell me, but I'm pretty sure it's worth quite a bit more than what I paid for it. But you know, it's my one Strat, and it does the Strat thing really well when I need it to, you know, especially like the yeah, it's awesome.
Somebody said, how can you not be a Strat guy when you have that sweet tone?
I mean, it does. It's funny, like, as soon as I picked it up and started playing it again, I'm like, oh, damn, this is actually really nice. But the secret, though, is having it tuned down a whole step. Because I think the pickups sound better. Strat guy.
With the Strat that you have already, how do you get your hands on a Novo? Reverb doesn't have great selections.
You can order direct from Novo.
On their website.
Yeah, just go to their website. I think you can order from them straight.
If you have a budget of $500 to $1,000 to buy effects, what would you do? Helix LT, HX Stomp, a handful of good pedals. Thanks.
Ooh. All right, well, I would ask, do you have an amp? Honestly, I would do something like this board. Hold on for a second. So, now the Revival Drive, I probably wouldn't go with the Revival Drive on this because it's more expensive and it's going to be outside the budget. But this board right here, an HX Effects with 1 or 2 overdrives that you can put in the loop of the HX Effects. This thing is sick. This is one of the best, I think, one of the best pieces of gear on the market today, and I think it's pretty underrated. The stuff you can do with this, if you have a 2-channel amp, it can do amp switching. It has it has every effect in it you would ever need. The overdrives that are built into it actually sound pretty good. The fact it has 2 effects loops so you can loop into other pedals. This is what I would build. If you were going to do like $500 to $1,000, you know, you can get a little board. Like this is a Pedal Train Metro 16. I've got a Chalks DC7 power supply under there. You know, there's other options in terms of power supplies that might be a little bit more affordable that'll run the HX Effects, but that's what I would do. We got a top chat. Hold on.
Phil Mingen said, I have a black on black Strat with 3 Seymour Duncan pickups. Oh, a JB Junior and a Little 59 and a duck bucker. What's a duck bucker?
I don't know what a duck bucker is.
I can tune it down and it's outrageous. That's
yeah,
cool.
I think the secret with Strats is, at least in my opinion, is tune them down. You know.
What's a duck bucker?
I don't know what a duck bucker is.
Slack stringing though, or gauge up?
This has 10s on it, so this feels like, now that I've switched to 9s on pretty much everything, this feels like 9s.
Let's see. Gotta catch up, y'all.
Let's try different. So these are my Kemper presets.
This is the Lightning 15. Matchless Lightning 015. That was a fuzz on that. Hold on.
Joe said, bam, Strat guy now. They are better tuned down with pickups out of phase. Who are Tilly's favorite indie bands? Y'all are going to hate me for this. You would have to name an indie band for me to be able to tell you.
Colony House.
Oh, I love Colony House. Yeah. I don't do well with like genres like
War on
knowing.
Drugs.
I don't know their songs.
Yeah, dude, you started listening to them not too long ago.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I like them.
Usually
Rhett puts me onto a lot of stuff. Like I don't usually sit and listen to music very often. I'm one of those people who, like, if I listen to music, it's something that I really like, and I'll, like, listen to all of the albums from that person, but I don't go on Spotify and, like, listen to, like, suggested stuff. It's one of those things where if I like somebody's stuff, like Alan Stone, I bought, like, all of his albums when we first started listening to him, and they're on my phone still.
She's like the music version of somebody that plays a video game, completionist, where, like, if you're playing Zelda or Fallout or something, and you have to complete the game, she does that with music. So if she finds an artist that she likes, she
like
deep
Emily
dives.
King.
Yeah, Emily King, another one of those
I have
people.
all of Emily King's albums.
She knows all the songs.
The ones that just came out, I purchased it. He didn't know about it before it came out, and I was like, Emily King just dropped her new album.
Yeah.
So I'm weird like that.
No, I think a lot of people are like that. When you find an artist that you really love, Josh Scott from JHS is like that. You watch his record time things at the end of his videos, and you can tell when he's talking about something like, oh yeah, he finds a band and then just dives into it. You know, that's how.
Rhett's different. He'll, like, listen to new stuff on Spotify and stuff, and he'll be like, hey, I just heard this. Listen to this, which is cool. Amely King, Suspended. Yeah, you should look her up. Amely King's really... She's got
incredible.
A powerhouse of a voice. She's amazing. I love her.
And the production on her records is incredible.
Yeah, she's
so good.
It's super, like, funky, groovy. It's kind of like Prince vibes.
It is very much like Prince.
I like her a lot. Somebody said something.
We got another top chat here.
Yeah.
Phil.
Look at Seymour Duncan website. It is a single coil size humbucker with an unusual tone.
Okay.
Huh. Duckbucker? But what is it? Duckbucker? That's interesting. Are you good at singing?
No.
I think he is. I've
only been singing for a couple months.
He's only been singing for a few months, and he doesn't give himself enough credit to the fact that he's only been singing for a few months, and he's had one voice lesson. Like,
it's the thing that's hard
like
for me.
That's like me saying, I'm not good at playing guitar.
Well, the thing is hard that I'm still trying to figure out. So I'm singing and playing lead guitar, and
yes, Locker Man, I've heard of the Beatles. I know who that is.
So, like on that we play Pyro by Kings of Leon, and I sing on that song, and so I'm playing slide and singing.
Is
harmony.
It easier to sing when you're playing slide?
No, God, no.
Or is it easier to play
That's
normally?
why I have. If you watch me when I'm singing, I'll have the mic, and I'm like trying to sing into the mic while looking down to make sure I'm like playing the right thing, and I do this kind of thing.
So slide it's harder to sing playing slide than it is when you're not playing normally?
Because for me, slide is...
takes more brain?
No, well, because you're not playing fretted. You're sliding, and so your intonation... hand me one of those, that glass slide.
Who came in behind us?
Up there. I opened the door for them. So like with a slide, if I'm playing, if I fret a note, I can just be, looking anywhere, and I know, okay, if I'm going to go there, that A is there. But with a slide, I have to listen to the intonation because I might be a little bit flat.
Oh, so when you're singing over it, it's hard to know if you're there. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Are there any good reggae clubs in Atlanta?
Probably, but I don't know them.
Do you listen to any Wolfpack? Yes. That's another one that I really love. Black Pumas. Rhett turned me on to Black Pumas. I love them. Have you guys ever heard of the band Foils? F-O-A-L-S. No, Foals? Sorry, I said that wrong. No, I haven't heard of them before. Let's see.
Quick plug again. Everything in my store is 25% off during the live stream if you want to use the discount code SNL25. Kemper Profiles, Helix presets, merch, whatever, 25% off. If you guys want to support the channel, that's a really great way to do it. So,
Lindsay L is a combination of John Mayer and Rhett Shull put together.
Yeah, I met her briefly backstage at this country festival in Louisville. We played, I think, back in August. She had just finished her set and came back and was just a quick like hello kind of thing, but she was great, man. She's a smoking player. Like, God, she can play.
That's cool. Ever heard of Black Pistol Fire?
Yep.
I don't know who that is. Sorry, they're moving. On string size, is your string video in your string videos? You guys focus on the high E. Isn't the tightness from the 42s versus the 46? I don't know.
Wait, what's the? I don't understand what the question is.
I don't understand either. Isn't the tightness from the 42s versus 46?
I don't understand what he's asking.
Is your string video focused on the high E? I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Sorry, Greg.
I don't play guitar.
Try
so I don't
rewording
know.
that one. I don't get it. Have you ever met Nick Perry? I haven't, actually. Have we ever thought about? Has Good Trouble ever thought about getting together with Will Hogue? I would love for Noah to go out and play with Will Hogue. We were on the Rock Boat cruise with him 2 years ago with Will, and it was awesome. He put on a hell of a show, man. I really like Will Hogue's music a lot.
How often do you see other bands perform?
Not as often as I would like. In fact, I'm on the hunt for. There used to be an app I used called Bands in Town, and I haven't looked, but maybe that's still the app to use. But there's a lot of shows that come through Atlanta that I would love to see that I just miss, and I'll hear about them later or see them on Instagram. So
there was something you showed me the other day that was talking
well,
about.
Spotify does concerts
yeah.
now.
They'll like
recommends
promote them.
Concerts.
Is anything you and Rick put out? Anything you and Rick put out is a must watch. Always cool. Real information. Thanks. That's nice, David. Thank you.
Have you played the new Player Series Tellys? Can't remember if the giveaway Telly was. I think they're great. I haven't played. I have the Vintera Telly, which is right back there. Will you hand me that Telecaster with the maple neck on it? And I'll trade you. The Vintera stuff is solid. I mean, it's your typical like Mexican Fender stuff, but it's cool. I always wanted like a Tele custom 70s with the black on black with the maple guard. So I think I'm actually going to do a video coming up with Dave on upgrading a Fender, and we're going to do basically.
This one?
Yeah, the idea is it's going to be 3 different levels, right? So upgrading your guitar, starting with free. So ways to make your guitar sound better for no money. And then budget upgrades. So things to do on a pretty tight budget to make your guitar sound and play better. And then money is no object, completely overhaul your guitar. So the idea will be, new pickups, new tuners, and basically taking a standard Mexican Fender and trying to make it play and sound like a custom shop, if that's possible.
Someone asked, have you heard of Jimmy Thackeray?
I've not.
We're going to have to go back and write these people down. Favorite lefty artists? That's an interesting question.
Cobain. Paul McCartney.
What is your philosophy approach on pedals with acoustics?
I don't do it. It's not my thing. I actually don't play that much acoustic, and if I do, I want it to sound like an acoustic.
Someone asked about shows in Wyoming and shows in France.
Nothing on the books for Wyoming or France, but I will be coming to the West Coast in July with Jessie. I don't know if she's been able to announce those dates yet, but whenever she does, I'll let you guys know.
Someone else asked something about Jimi Hendrix. What's your take on Jimi Hendrix?
I'm a huge Hendrix fan.
I know. I knew the answer to that already. Do you like shoegaze music?
Oh, on key.
Shoegaze music? I don't know what that is.
Yeah. It's not my favorite thing, but I do.
What about a compression on an acoustic? We all know how much you love.
I mean, yeah, if you feel like you need it, the thing about compression is I don't think you should run an always on compressor. And I've talked about this before, so if you've heard me say this before, just bear with me. But okay, so like right now there's a compressor on this Helix or this Kemper profile. And so if you listen, it should demonstrate what I'm talking about. So here I'm really digging into the strings. And if I lighten up, there's not that much difference in the tone. It still sounds the same. But if I turn the compressor off, really digging in, and then you hear how it clean. Well, you can't hear because you don't have headphones.
I was like, that
But
sounds
they can
exactly
hear.
the same.
It's cleaning up. So it gives you the ability to play with more dynamic and feel. I feel like a lot of players that use an always-on compressor are using it as a crutch to mask not really having the best control over their picking dynamics. So, and I say that because I used to do that. I used to just leave a compressor on because I liked the way it felt, when in reality what it was doing was just evening out all my inconsistencies. And the reality is, if you can learn to play without a compressor on, you can play with so much more dynamic and more feel, and you have more control over the amplifier and your tone without a compressor always on. Compressors are great if you want to use it as an effect. Like, again, if you're using a telly and you want that super spanky kind of country thing, that chicken picking thing, that's cool. Or you want to do like the funky kind of thing. Compressors are great for that too, but outside of that, I would not use an always-on compressor.
Phil said something. Duckbucker, a unique split pole design, gives this Stratocaster neck middle pickup a sparkly, bouncy tone without any hum.
Cool.
Okay.
Nice.
Where's your whiskey?
I forgot to.
This is his whiskey.
I forgot to pour a glass before the stream tonight.
Coffee.
Sounds good though.
This is for a drink for you and Tilly. You two seem like great people. I'm a green room member. Slow hand fan 52.
Thanks, Phil.
Sweet. Are you doing any shows with Noah in Pennsylvania?
We probably will come up to Pennsylvania at some point this year.
They do a lot of like Northeast.
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff in the Northeast
shows.
and the Rust Belt
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
What do you think about the new Epiphone range?
Really excited about it, especially the acoustics. Actually, I think they're really cool.
Yeah, the acoustics are cool. I saw those at NAMM. Those are cool. Is it worth a drive to come to Atlanta via Charlotte to see a show at the Tabernacle purely based on the venue, or overrated?
Tabernacle's great. It's one of the best rooms in Atlanta, actually.
I
really like the Tabernacle. So yes, I would say yes. Come to Atlanta.
Yes. Let's see, somebody else. It's going too fast.
Oh, there's a Philly show in May. Thanks, David. Cool.
There you go. Y'all just he's really bad about that until the week before, when he has to be at whatever place for the rehearsal. He's really bad about knowing what he's playing next.
I had a conversation with my dad on the phone the other day, and he was like, "All right, so you're coming to Columbia
Yeah.
in May to play." I was like, "I am." He's like, "Yes, you're playing in Columbia, and then you're playing in Myrtle Beach, and then you're doing this and this and this." It's like, "Oh,
Cool, Dad. Thanks.
cool. Am I playing anywhere in this area?" He's like, "Yep, you're doing this on this date." My dad knows more about my schedule than I do.
He knows more about it than I do. When did you get the Telly Custom?
They sent this out to me when they sent out the Tone Master Deluxe, and then they sent out another telly with the Bigsby that I gave away, and that went to a fine gentleman in Australia,
Which is cool.
and it made it. I got confirmation from the guy who won it. It's at its new home.
What makes a good guitar player? Also, hi from Ireland.
Oh man, I would love to go to Ireland. Actually, I think that's a good question for you. What do you think makes a good guitar player?
Oh, don't put me on the spot.
No,
with
seriously,
that.
like as someone who's not a guitar player, What do you think makes a good guitar player?
Oh my word, that just made my palms
There
sweaty.
is no wrong answer.
Yes, there is.
No, there's not. It's your opinion.
I feel like I'm gonna offend people.
No, in your opinion, what do you think makes a good guitar player?
In my opinion, I feel like, what makes a good guitar player? Someone that's humble. I feel like you can be somebody that's really good. We've met some people, and not like gotten to know them, but we've met some people who are, it feels like when you listen to them play, they're doing it to show off. And then when you talk to them and you tell them, oh man, that was really good, or hey, that was really good, whatever it is you say, it's not like a, oh man, thank you so much kind of thing. It's like, yeah, cool, dude, I'm glad you liked it. And it's kind of like, oh.
So it's an attitude thing.
Yeah. For me, that matters to me.
Is there anything playing wise that sticks out to you that you think is makes a good guitar player?
Phil said this the other night. He said what did he say? I'm gonna butcher this, so if he's watching this, I'm sorry. But it was something to the effect of playing to the song. We've been to places before too where it's like the song calls for one thing and someone will play something that does not fit the song, and it kind of makes you feel like you're like, that was not right, kind of thing.
Not overplaying.
Like it didn't feel right. That makes it good when you're able to listen to something. I feel like Ben does this really well.
Forehand?
Yeah. When you're able to listen to a song or a part that you need to play and you play to that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Somebody that plays to the song and somebody that has solid musical ideas.
Yeah.
Something that I like guitar players that play stuff that you can sing.
Yeah, like melodic kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Very musical.
I do like that.
Let's get caught up in the chat here.
In my opinion, a good guitar player plays with what's best for the song. Yeah, exactly, John. Who are Tilly's favorite artists? Again, Emily King is one of my favorites. New one, Black Pumas.
Yeah.
I really love Aretha. She's always going to be a favorite of mine. I like James Brown. Country-wise, Martina McBride, Reba. Reba will always be my favorite. I'll love her until the day I die. I just love Reba. I can't not love her. A good guitar player, like any good musician, is someone who can bring out an emotion in the listener. I totally agree with that. Heritage guitars, ever play one?
Yeah, Heritage stuff's super good, and they're also making the new Harmony stuff. The new Harmony
that's right.
guitars. Those are made in the Heritage factory up in Kalamazoo. It's the old Gibson factory. I think those are some of the best guitars for the money, actually. The few Harmony guitars that I've played, they're different, so they're not for everybody, but I think they're really good.
Yeah.
They're really good.
What is your short opinion about Fender Tone Master Twin Reverb?
Well, I don't like twin reverbs. They're pretty much my least favorite amp of all time.
What's the...
I have the deluxe reverb.
No, Tone Master.
Yeah, the Tone Master. Is
Just
that what
kidding.
they're asking?
No, he said Twin Master. Unless I read that wrong.
Whoa, what is this?
Yeah, he said Twin Reverb. Tone Master Twin Reverb.
Would you
Can you
hear
hear
this?
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just summoned a choir of angels with my reverb here.
Thoughts on the Silver Sky with the maple fretboard?
Sorry, my reverb's going over your...
We'll take your ear out.
No, it's going over you talking. I'll stop playing.
Thoughts on the Silver Sky with the maple fretboard?
I'm cool. Well, okay, let me back up. I'm not a huge Strat guy, as we talked about a minute ago. And I don't like maple fretboards on Strats. I like maple fretboards on Tellys, but I feel like a maple fretboard on a Strat, especially the bridge pickup, it gets way too bright and snappy and gross sounding. Personally.
Really hoping Jessie makes it to the Northwest. Keep an eye out on her website because she's pretty good about keeping that up to date, and they do Northeast stuff. serve the song best advice I've ever heard about a guitar player. Yeah.
Let's grab this top shot here. Andrew, thanks, man. No question, just appreciation for the comment and inspiration. Thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Appreciate that. Let's see here.
How do you feel about SRV?
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh.
Yeah, I had an SRV phase. The thing is, when I was learning guitar, as a it's like 15 years ago. Well, let me find another reverb that I like. These Kemper reverbs have gotten pretty good.
What about your thoughts on Metallica?
Hold on, I gotta answer the SRV.
Oh,
question.
sorry.
All
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, so whoa.
Sorry, he has ADD.
when I found Stevie Ray Vaughan, it was at the time when I feel like most guitar players were trying to emulate Stevie Ray Vaughan, and a lot of the players that I knew that I went to school with or jammed with when I was a kid or whatever, they were all trying to play Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be an SRV ripoff. I feel like he's the most copied guitar player of all time, and so that kind of drove me away from listening to his stuff a whole lot and trying to play like him, just because again everybody I knew was trying to do it at the time.
Yeah.
So
somebody asked if you drive to Nashville for only rehearsals. Yes, he does.
Oh God, yeah, I've done that
All
so
the
many
time.
times.
Do you own a 12-string or see a need? You own a 12-string.
Yeah, I have a 12-string. It's actually at Dave's right now. I have a Takamine
didn't know
G
that.
Series 12-string that I got on my 16th birthday, actually.
What's he doing with your 12-string?
Fixing it. It needs some love, some work.
Thoughts on Magnatone amps?
Yeah, they're good. I had one as a backline amp in Nashville one time. It was one of the 210 stereo tremolo ones. It was awesome. It sounded great.
Evan asked, did you consider the Divided by 13 BTR23 when purchasing the RSA?
I did, but
Fred said you needed the RSA.
well, and Tim Pierce said,
And you played Tim's.
and I played Tim's RSA. And Tim is one of those guys for me that's like, whatever Tim says, I go with. 'Cause Tim Pierce is the man.
He's your spirit animal.
Yeah, Tim Pierce is my spirit animal.
Thoughts on Rage Against the Machine and their forthcoming tour?
I would actually love to see Rage Against the Machine live. I really like Rage Against the Machine. I don't listen to them all that much. They're one of the bands that like I'll get in a mood and then jump on and just start listening to all those Rage records, and then I'll just set it aside for. I feel like everyone has those artists, right, where it's like a couple times a year you just get on a
Deep dive, rabbit
deep
hole.
dive, and you like jump into one particular artist or genre and listen to them for like a week straight, and then you just kind of put them back on the shelf and don't visit them again for a while. That's Rage Against the Machine for me.
I do that, except for I don't put them back on the shelf. I just
That's true.
stay down in the rabbit hole. Someone asked, do you ever get gear burnout from so much gear hitting the studio?
I don't get gear burnout. I get option paralysis sometimes.
That's funny.
One of the things that's happened with this YouTube channel, which has been really cool, is I've gotten my hands on a lot of guitar gear. Like, the reality is no guitar player needs, like, you don't need a Kemper and a Helix and a bunch of amps and an aux and all this stuff. And what it's caused for me has, I actually experienced this on the gig, the 2 gigs this weekend. I was using my traditional setup, my amp and my main pedal board, but the reality was I hadn't actually played that setup in a while because I've been messing around with my Helix stuff and the Axe FX3 and the Kemper stuff, and then the, this new amp back here, the Bad Cat I've been playing with, and the Hiwatt. And so even though I was using the Divided by 13 and my main pedal board, I hadn't touched that gear in a while. And there was a couple times during the set where I was kind of out of my comfort zone a little bit on my own rig because I hadn't played it in a while. And it was kind of embarrassing, actually. It was like, that's not a normal thing. And it wasn't a normal thing for me until I started a YouTube channel. When I was gigging and touring primarily, I knew my gear inside and out, backwards and forwards, because it was all I had, and I played the same rig for years and years and years. So the reason I use all the different stuff is so that I can stay informed on it and share my opinion on it. Playing the Axe FX3, it's like, if I'm going to make a video about the Axe FX3 and what I think about it, then I actually need to know it, and I need to play it for a while and know what it does and what it doesn't do well. Same thing with the Helix, or same thing with a tube amp, or the Aux, or a Kemper, or whatever.
More paralysis than
you don't need all this gear. And the other thing that it can do is it can send you down this rabbit hole of thinking like, oh man, well I can't do this thing until I have this piece of gear, which is not true at all. Use the gear you have, learn how to make it work to do what you want it to do. And don't think you have to go out and spend a bunch of money in order to have great guitar tone or to be a great guitar player, because that's not how it works at all.
Who's the guy that plays the Squire?
Jack Pearson. Jack Pearson is the absolute, just perfect example of that. Jack Pearson has some of the best guitar tone I've ever heard in my life. He's one of the best guitar players I've ever heard in my life. And the guy plays a Squire Affinity Strat through a backline amp with a tube screamer that's always on.
There you go.
And he sounds incredible. So,
how's the Firebird holding up?
Great. Actually, I really like the Firebird. The Firebird's sick.
So cool.
Yeah, the Firebird's awesome.
I feel like you should have that.
What's the deadline for the acoustic song this month, Phil? So, for those of you who don't know, over on the Green Room, which is the private forum for people that want to support the channel, you can join for just $5 a month. And we do monthly challenges over there. This month's challenge is an acoustic cover. So basically the way it works is the people over on the Green Room are working on a cover, and they will arrange their own cover, record it, mix it, and then submit it on the monthly challenge thread. And then we have a private live stream that happens for the Green Room members only, where I sit over here on this computer and listen to the submissions live with everybody. And
you go through them together.
Yeah, we go through them together and listen to them as a group for the first time together, and it's a ton of fun. We've done 4 of them now. Mm-hmm. It's so awesome. So this month's challenge is the acoustic challenge, and I don't know when the deadline is. David SJ, who should be in the chat, can chime in on when the deadline is. Stefan, would you consider that if I already have an analog pedal board similar to the Vertex board, would it be a good idea to get a Helix for a backup, or to light it up?
What does that mean? Light it up.
February 29th is the deadline for the acoustic gig. Thanks, Hef. Appreciate that, man. I really like... Okay, so kind of going against what I just said about all the gear. I think there is a case to be made for guitar players today, especially if you're gigging, to have, if you've got like the analog thing dialed in, I think it's worth it to have some kind of digital rig or digital solution, whether that be something like a Strymon Iridium or an HX Stomp or a where is it, the Kemper back here, or a Helix, something like that. I think is a good idea because it does give you more flexibility. The thing I love about the digital stuff is, like, if I've got a fly date somewhere, I can put my Helix in its backpack, take it on the plane, or it's great for festival stuff. Like, festival season is coming around the corner, and I will probably be using, most of festival season, I'll be using something like the Kemper or the Helix live, just because it's consistent, it's easy, you throw it down on the stage, you turn it on, and you go. You don't have to worry about miking an amp and pedal board and all this kind of stuff, and especially with as much as we get rained on at these damn festivals. So I think it's a good idea, and they're great solutions for recording at home. If you don't have a ton of mics and a space to crank a tube amp at home, something like an Iridium or an Axe FX or a Helix is a great solution for that. So
Is there room in the green room level 3?
I think there is. We had I think one slot open up, David. So yeah. So we'll go for another 10 minutes here on the stream, you guys.
We're watching Frozen upstairs, and I'm really excited
great.
about that.
Can we see a tips recording start to end? Also tips doubling if you have one guitar, have your stomp presets, can't figure out how to use the fuzz tips. A lot of tips.
Wait, what?
Can we see a tips recording start?
Also tips doubling. Doubling if you have one guitar, presets, can't figure out how to use the fuzz tip.
A lot of
Can't
tips.
Figure out how to use the fuzz. Can't figure out how to use
Man's
the fuzz.
asking for a lot of tips.
Help him.
Yeah, I have actually thought about doing a like basic recording video.
Can you play Let It Go?
No, I can't play Let It Go. I'm sure Disney would like come busting into the studio and shut it down.
Y'all, I love Olaf so much. It's a problem. Any updates on the Lark?
Yes. So there is pre-orders are still happening. If you want to pre-order the Lark, actually hand it to me. It's right back there.
We're doing a lot of your dirty work.
We're looking to ship in I think early to mid March. There it is. Look at that. It's focused. We made one revision on the circuit. Zach and I have been going back and forth. The one issue we were having was it was pretty noisy. So he just last week finally nailed the noise. Like,
oh, he got it?
Yeah, filtering out the hiss that was in the circuit. So they're ready to go. The issue we're running into, believe it or not, and this is totally true, and this is across a lot, it's hitting all of the electronics market and all the pedal market, is because of the coronavirus right now. Printed circuit boards coming out of China are like really delayed. So I think we're still good for the mid-March ship. Of all of you that have pre-ordered the pedal, thank you. I believe we're still on schedule to ship in real time, but if there is a delay, it's because of the coronavirus in China. And
it'll be announced. Zach and
Zach, we'll put it out there, and it won't be a long delay. It might be another week or so after the initial ship date. But as of right now, we're good to go.
West Coast Noah Guthrie shows. That'd be cool.
That'd be very cool. Nothing on the books right now.
He wants to play Red Rocks. So
yeah, I would love to play Red Rocks.
Recommendations for a good combo amp around $1,500 for a tone similar to what you do.
Wait, what was it? A combo amp under
Recommendation under $1,500 for tone like what you do.
Get a 5E3 Tweed Deluxe.
There you go.
Fender Tweed Deluxe.
Did we answer this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Do a Jake Lizzo style, building a recording on one of these excellent intro tracks from your videos. I really like Lizzo. Lizzo's another one of mine that I really like, and mostly because there's only like a few songs that I really love, but mostly because of her story.
Joel, what Kemper profile am I using? I'm using one of mine. This is the Lightning 15 Push Plus, which you can download and get 25% off right now during the live stream if you use the code SNL25.
I do not play piano. I do not. I don't play any instruments, unfortunately.
Let's see here. Oh, I got it. Thanks for what you do. The Sweet Home Strat video is so much fun. Thanks, Wayne. Aww. That was fun, getting to play that Strat.
That was a fun day.
Zach
is so much fun. He's fun to make videos with. 2019 Gibson Gold Top, yes or no?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely. How's the Euro Rack project coming?
It's
what is this? Y'all are telling me things that he hasn't told me.
No, we've talked about this. The Euro Rack project. So I've got 2 modules right now from Strymon. I got their delay.
Oh, well.
And the AA1, which is the module that lets you patch in effect pedals. So here's the deal. I'm wanting to start a modular synth build, but I know absolutely nothing about modular synthesis other than like the stuff I've been watching on
lots of
YouTube.
research.
Andrew Huang just did a great video series on getting into modular synthesis. So I'm actually in talks with Sweetwater right now about possibly sponsoring a modular synth build. So what I want, and if there's any modular synth experts here, please help. I want to build a setup that I can use for guitar processing, and get some crazy guitar effects and everything going, and can do some basic generative synthesis.
Jan, Rhett and I don't sing. I'm not a good singer. You would not, that's not something you want to hear. Messages for someone who wants to do this for a living. What to focus on, performance or studio experience?
Well, if you want to play for a living, you need to, first of all, you need to be in a place where music is happening and where people who are playing are also doing it for a living. So whether that means finding the scene in your city or moving to a city where there is a music scene.
And I feel like you should specify that doesn't mean you have to move to a music city like Nashville.
No, but you do need to be in a place where music is happening.
Around it.
The most important thing, and I actually just had Rod Castro on as a guest on the podcast. He was the first episode of season 2. Find the link down below.
He's fun.
Rod's awesome. Rod does a lot of session guitar work, and he does some touring and live work. He plays for Beyonce and TLC and BB Rexa and Bootsy Collins, and
he is a very humble guitar player.
He's a great guitar player.
And I've only met
person.
him once, and you can tell by talking to him.
So he talked about that in the interview, and he talked about what the most important thing is, and it's you need to be a good hang. You need to be the type of person that people want to hang out with, the type of person that people want to work with, the type of person that somebody would want to spend 15 hours in a van with on tour.
Yeah.
That's literally the most important thing. Everything else comes behind that.
Yep.
Being a good hang. Get the idea of networking out of your head. You know, you don't want to be the guy that's like showing up to other people's gigs and like handing out cards and, you know, like, hey man, if you ever need a guitar player, if you ever need a drummer, like hit me up. Like that's not the way to do it. On top of that, you need to be proficient at your instrument so that when those opportunities do come up, you can actually perform and perform reliably, have a good sound, have a good tone. Reliable gear is important. Having gear that's, you know, not expensive or, you know, anything like that, but will do the job reliably. And then just be ready to put the time in, man.
The podcast with Brett Papa came out already. It is on your streaming source.
It came out this week.
Yeah.
Brett Papa's the coolest guy on the internet. That was the name of the episode.
He is the coolest guy. He's just like in general the coolest guy. Big Sky or Timeline for your first Strymon pedal?
Probably the Timeline.
Yeah. Why?
Because it's a great delay pedal and you can do some reverb style stuff with it. And I think it's better to have, if you're only going to have either a reverb or a delay, I think you could get more use out of a delay pedal.
There's a question in here that we went past. Somebody asked something about a 15-year-old kid trying to do something. Message for 15-year-old who wants to do this for a living. Did you answer that?
I don't think so. I would say if you're 15, play as much as you can, listen to as much music as you can. The two things you need to practice are ear training, so honing in your ear to the point where you can listen to just about any chord progression and instantly pick up your guitar and be able to play it, or any melody, be able to listen to it and play it.
Like Shania Twain, I feel like a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And work on your singing. That's something I should have done a long, long time ago. If you're a guitar player who can also sing background vocals and has a great ear, you will be much more likely to get hired.
Very desirable.
Yeah. So learn how to sing and work on your ear training.
Somebody asked something about Metallica. I don't remember what it was. Quick comments on your color sound tone bender.
It's amazing. It's expensive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it to everyone because it's insanely expensive, but it sounds great.
Is it worth upgrading the factory Novo case to a mono case? Asking for my Ceres J.
Yes, it is.
I would say yeah.
In fact, I got onto the guys at Novo about that a couple weeks ago. The cases, and they are switching. They're switching back to mono.
Are they doing mono? Or are they doing hard cases?
No, they're doing back to mono. I wasn't super thrilled with the soft cases that they were sending with guitars.
I got onto them.
I did. I was like, guys, don't.
Not cool, man.
Not cool. So they are switching back to mono. So.
Who would you love to collab with on either the podcast or your YouTube channel?
That's a good question. Oh God.
Collab with.
Other YouTubers.
Jared James Nichols.
Yeah, Jared. I'd like to do some stuff with. In fact, I think we are
really
going to do some stuff together.
He's like, he tours like 318 days out of the year or something like that. Oh man.
I really want to do something with Gary Clark Jr.
That would be cool.
That'd be amazing. Other YouTubers though, Paul Davids would be a lot of fun. Adam Neely,
cool. Yeah,
Mary Spender and I have done some stuff together. I'd like to continue to do more collaborations with Mary. I'd like to do something with Andrew Huang, actually. That'd be really fun.
Any tips for traveling with a 335 by plane?
Get a hard case.
And
don't check it.
You have that.
Actually, I have a mono bag. I fly with my 335 in a mono bag, but
you have that flight case that you just got, the rifle case.
Well, yeah, but that's not the 335 won't fit in that.
Oh. Someone asked about doing a podcast with Ben Forehand. We have asked him. He has agreed. It's just needs to happen.
Does anybody here know Ben Forehand?
Somebody said that.
I feel like some people know Ben. You should know Ben.
Can you get Ben Forehand? Joel Augustine.
Yeah, I can get Ben on the podcast.
I love Ben. He's a good conversationalist. Thoughts on tapping?
Not my thing. I'm terrible at it.
All right, a few more questions here, and then we got to go watch Frozen. Would you ever want James fan number one fan? Thanks, James. I like that emoji. That's cute. Would you ever want a collaboration with
Anderson's?
Anderson.
Yeah, I'd love to do something with Danish Pete. Actually, I met him at NAMM for the first time. He's the coolest dude. He's such and I've been watching his stuff for a few years on YouTube, and he's awesome, and he's a hell of a guitar player. I think it'd be fun to go. I think I need to just make a trip over to the UK.
Yeah, I want to go. Can I go?
Well, let's wait till the weather gets better because it sucks over there right now.
When's the best time to go?
Summer.
Oh, okay. Most relevant player right now? Oh, that's a good question. Like guitar player?
Yeah, that's
guitar player?
That's a really tough question, actually. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Captain meets Rhett Shull would be epic. I did meet the captain at NAMM. Briefly. He was nice. It was cool.
Would you say you're more of an Anna or an Elsa, Rhett?
Which one's which?
The blonde one is Elsa, and the redhead is Anna.
Elsa's the one that turns into the villain, right?
Well, she doesn't turn into a villain. She's the one that has the powers where she can, like, make things with snow.
I've seen Frozen one time, and I was hammered drunk.
You were. It was for Christmas.
It was Christmas Eve.
Rhett made Manhattans, and
I had, like,
Frozen.
5 Manhattans. I don't know what happened.
Oh, man.
God, I was so drunk.
My favorite 35mm camera so far
is that's a good question.
The F3, because that's the only one that I have. Rhett has a Nikon, but I haven't shot with it.
FE2, I think.
But I really, really love my F3. I would like a Leica maybe, but those are really expensive.
Here's the thing about 35mm film cameras.
They're so fun.
We're gonna nerd out on cameras here for a bit.
Yeah, I love it.
You should buy one.
If you don't have one, everybody should go buy
they're
one.
They're still cheap. Like, you can get them for cheap on eBay and stuff. And the thing is, it's not like a digital camera where it's literally a 35mm film camera is essentially just a thing that holds film that you attach a lens to that has a shutter. So you don't really need a ton of features and all this kind of stuff. It's more, the lenses that you put on the front are more important, but those are super cheap, especially if you get Nikon lenses. They're
like the old ones.
Super cheap.
Those
you
are
can
fun.
get great Nikon glass all day online for $100 or less, or $150.
We've got some pretty cool ones.
And yeah, I love shooting film. Follow Tilly on Instagram at this Tilly, THISTILLY. Her Instagram profile is pretty much all 35mm film photography that
some
she
of
takes.
it is the Sony that we have.
Some of it.
But I love, someone asked what my favorite lens is. Brett got me a 50mm Sigma for Christmas.
50-1.4, yeah.
For the Sony, and I really love that, but we also have a 50mm for the Nikon F3. But I would love, it snowed here a couple weeks ago, last week, and I wanted to get pictures of snowflakes so badly that I almost cried because I didn't have a macro lens. So I also want one of those.
Yeah. We're kind of photography
And I also
nerds
love
here.
flowers, which is weird, but I love taking pictures of flowers and insects and stuff. So I would say that. Not a Sigma fan, but they're priced right. Well,
some people don't like the Sigma stuff because they're super sharp. They're really, really sharp, and I feel like a lot of Canon users aren't a fan of the Sigma stuff because it's really
I haven't shot
sharp.
with Canon stuff, so I don't know. That's all I know. So don't hate me for
John
that.
Frusciante back in Red Hot Chili Peppers, 100% yes, love that. 100% yes. David SJ is out,
What does that say?
and so are we.
Bye, David. I have not tried the Sigma 18-35.
The art lens is pretty good. It's not good for video though because the focus motor makes a lot of noise.
I think he means for macro.
It's the 18-35 1.4 1.8. The art lens is it's not a great video camera, and it's super heavy.
Well, he wasn't
too.
asking for video. He's asking for pictures. All right.
Thanks everyone. Remember 25% off everything in my store. SNL 25. That's the Kemper Profiles, the Helix presets. We just launched the new HX Stomp preset pack this past week, so you can get that. We've got some new merch designs over there. And that's also where you will be able to download the tone course when it's available. I also have a book idea that I'm going to start working on pretty soon. So a theory book for everyone. Music theory.
To be announced.
Yeah, to be announced. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live.